One thing that was always very suspicious was that none of the prosecution witnesses could account for how Mumia was shot. And we know that he was shot. He was shot in the chest. And we know that the bullet took a downward angle. So the only person who made a hint at how that could have happened was Cynthia White, who claimed that Faulkner, as he fell, grabbed after something, but then he would have had to have shot upwards. So that also didn't scan. So that alone tells you something is very fishy here. And it's particularly fishy with regard to Cynthia White. She claims something that cannot have happened, as is true of her whole testimony. This is something that I dissemble in this brochure. Everything she says just has to be false by necessity. If you investigate anything she says, it's always false. The other thing that's very interesting about the White testimony and her statements, and that's something that occurred only to me when I reread Mumia's habeas corpus petition, is there is a very interesting fact about the application for a driver's license duplicate. So let's just call it driver's license for the sake of our argument. And that was, according to the prosecution, just found at the scene. But at Mumia's PCRA hearing in 1995, it turned out that driver's license, which did not belong to Billy Cook, was not found somewhere at the scene. It was found on Faulkner's body. Since Billy had a driver's license of his own, he didn't need to identify himself to the officer. So where does this license application come from? Came apparently from a third person who had an alibi and who told at the PCRA hearing, I gave it to Kenneth Freeman. And I don't know what he did with it.
Mm.
And the significant thing is it was found on Faulkner's body, but nowhere in the testimony of any of the prosecution witnesses, especially Cynthia White, who said, I saw the whole sequence of events from the beginning. Nowhere is there an explanation of how this driver's license application or whatever it was ended up in Faulkner's pants. So that alone tells you that something is wrong with the testimony and the statements of Cynthia White. But
by the way, sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
Let me continue a little bit about this curious witness. In some of my writings, I have called her the phantom witness. Why do I call her the phantom witness? Because nobody else saw her. And that's something very remarkable in the recent filings of the district attorney's office with regard to Mumia, because they claim another witness who claimed to have seen the shooting, the motorist Michael Scanlon, that he corroborated and confirmed the presence of Robert Jobert's taxi cab and Cynthia White in the general area. But that's plainly false. I don't know where they got that from. If you go to the record, at the trial itself, Michael Scanlon is asked, did you see a cab at the southeastern corner of Locust? He says no. He doesn't say, I don't know, he says no. Did you see a person at the southeastern corner of 13th and Locust where Cynthia White claimed to have been standing? No, I didn't see anyone. And the fourth witness of the prosecution said the same thing. Did you see a cab? No. Did you see a person standing at the southeastern corner? No. Another person who was present at the scene, Veronica Jones. Did you see a woman standing at the southeastern corner of 13th and Locust? No. Yet another witness who saw a man run away, who was excellently placed to see Cynthia White if she was there. Desi Hightower, who also testified at the trial, didn't mention her. No one else mentioned her. And everything she said at the trial is a proven falsehood. Nothing she said was true. And I happen to have a tape recording of her crucial statement on December the 17th, 8 days after the shooting, where for the first time she says there was an altercation between Billy Cook and the officer. In her first statement to the police, she specifically denies that there was any scuffle. Same thing at the second statement. That apparently for them was not good enough. They arrest her one more time and bring her to give a statement. And now she says, "Oh, by the way, I saw them scuffle." And that is clearly the voice of a frightened woman.